Hello, what is up, everybody? This is Anthony with the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel. Welcome to another daily live show. We've been doing this basically every day for, I don't know, like 8 or 9 days. We've been doing it for a while, and today we're coming at a slightly different time. It is approaching 2 p.m. Pacific, so I believe for those of you in the UK, it is almost 10 p.m. UK time, so a little bit of a late night show for you guys over there. Not sure how it's going to work for USA folks. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I have to do a show basically at around this time. Saturday, I'll be doing this. Sunday, I'll be doing this. Monday, I'll be doing this at this time. But Tuesday, we go back to 10 a.m. Tuesday, we go back to 10 a.m. and it should be 10 a.m. from there on out going forward. We'll have to kind of play it by ear as far as that goes. All right, so let's see here. Let's see here. No one in chat yet, or maybe my chat is not updating. I don't think there's anybody in chat yet. Yeah, I'm a little bit early. So probably not a lot of people are in here yet. But basically, we do have some news stories to get into. And I thought maybe one of the first news stories I could bring up here. Let's see here. Oh, actually, why don't we go ahead and start off with our little intro music. Oh man, it would happen like this. No one's here anyway, so it's all good, right? Okay, here we go. So yeah, episode 160. We are up to episode 160 now. Of course, when you start doing a daily show, episodes, they start to really pile up like you would not believe. So we'll do it like this. What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR Game Rankings. Of course, this is episode 160 of the Daily Vlog Live. This is where we get into VR gaming and possibly AR gaming as well, discussion, talking about the latest VR games, what's going on out there, and that's pretty much what we get into. Lethal Weasel is in the mix, so we finally do have some participation. I can't really start this show until somebody shows up. There is Fluke showing up as well, so things are live, things are working. So why don't we go ahead and dive into some of the little news bits that we have today, because there are a few little news stories to get into. Why don't we go ahead and start things off? We can start things off with, ah, man, have to resize this, and there doesn't appear to be a good window for this one. Okay, so this is Assetto Corsa Competizione. Assetto Corsa Competizione. Let's hear a little bit of the sound on this. So that was Assetto Corsa Competizione, and basically what we saw right there is September 12th. This is going to arrive on Steam Early Access. However, no VR support until the second build for Assetto Corsa Competizione, and that will arrive on October 10th. So there is a slight delay here with the VR support, but still it's good news. You know, when it comes to VR racing games, we of course have the original Project Cars. We have Project Cars 2, we have Assetto Corsa, we have Dirt, and there's a number of other games as well. Of course, if you get into the futuristic kind of racers, we got a lot of other games like that as well. But it is nice to see Assetto Corsa Competizione, kind of the follow-up to Assetto Corsa, which a lot of people feel still is the best VR racing game out there. So finally a little bit of news there. Now Nick McGowan in chat is saying Steam VR update has Half-Life code leaked. What? Is this like some real shit, or is somebody trying to do a little bit of a trying to rickroll me? Fluke Rogi says, hope they can put the front end menus in VR this time. It always bugged me with AC. Yeah, that's what I've always heard, is that ultimately when you're actually in a race and you're racing, AC is the best VR game, but like the menus and all of that go along with it is problematic. So hopefully this year that support will be better. October 10th is when we're going to be looking for that. So not a major news story there, but you know what? It is a date. We were wondering, we heard about Assetto Corsa Competizione and wondering about that, and that is the deal there. Okay, let me throw on, here's another interesting story that has popped up. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but if you have an Oculus Go, you can actually play some Virtual Boy. So, you know, we've had a Virtual Boy emulator on like Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, and I've actually tried this emulator myself personally, and it works freaking fantastic. I mean, it's just exact. I actually had a Virtual Boy, I believe this was 1996. I had a Virtual Boy for an incredibly brief window of time. So basically the Virtual Boy, it came out. Here's a real quick history lesson. The Virtual Boy comes out. It's basically a dud. It doesn't sell well at all. And then on top of that, you have a lot of complaints with children having headaches and stuff. And so Nintendo kind of just panicked. And you really couldn't, like, they basically realized that the Virtual Boy really wasn't going to work as a product, and that product disappeared. However, Blockbuster Video, which is this retail location that people would go to back in ancient times to watch movies and to rent video games. It's this really quaint thing where you actually physically get in a car, you drive to a store, you go get a movie. There were these things called Blockbuster Video, and they had rental units of Virtual Boys that were in these really nice black cases with foam and everything. Oh my God, it was really cool, right? Well, they basically sold those things off for like pennies on the dollar. I got like Virtual Boy for like 45 bucks along with like 3 or 4 games in a beautiful freaking case. And I had a Virtual Boy for about maybe 2 months, and I ended up getting rid of it and just kind of selling it off because it actually gave me headaches as well. Or maybe I just bought into the rumor that it gives you headaches, and I kind of like assumed. I think this happens a lot with modern day VR. People assume that they're going to get sick in modern day VR. And psychology, man, if you believe you're going to get sick, you are likely to probably get a little bit sick. And so I think that kind of affected me because I heard about all the headaches and everything. I got rid of my Virtual Boy. I didn't have it for very long, but it was super interesting. That was 1996. Definitely interesting. And you can emulate this pretty much flawlessly on a Rift, on a Vive, and now supposedly Oculus Go. So, I mean, that is cool to have that on the Oculus Go. Why not? Emulating that would be really cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me see if I can resize my chat a little bit here. Okay, so probably like this is good. Let's see here. So we got John Shoebrook, UK subber. Yeah, see, all I have is UK people, which is fine. Look, Tolmart Greybeard. Sir Tolmart Greybeard. Hello. Hello from the UK. Kevgret is in the house, of course. Fluke Rogi's in the house. Lethal Weasel is in the house. Lethal Weasel VR says, I wonder if it emulates the headaches of the original. So you suffered from them as well. So that wasn't just myopia of people thinking they had headaches. I got rid of my Virtual Boy. That was the reality there. Okay, why don't I switch this up, and I am going to throw on a trailer. I think this is a new trailer. So this is Pixel Ripped 1989, brand new trailer. Check this out for a sec. That looks hella sweet. That one level at the end there, if that's an actual level that you can play.
Right, that's it. Take yourself with that infernal light box to the headmasters at once.
Yeah, so that is the Oculus trailer for Pixel Ripped, which is a new trailer, so thought I would highlight that real quick. That comes out on Tuesday, I believe. And the embargo is over on Monday, so I will be able to freely discuss Pixel Ripped 1989. I still have only played it a short amount of time on PSVR, just that first level. Also have a build for Oculus, so I'm going to try it on Oculus this weekend, absolutely. And I'll try to get into some later levels of the game, so on Monday when the embargo is over, I'll be able to talk about that. But yeah, that arrives Tuesday, $20, $19.99 for Pixel Ripped 1989. Does look pretty cool. I will say this trailer makes that first level look more exciting than it is in reality so far. I still enjoy the game. I like the game, but yeah, trailers always make things look really fucking cool. Roy Schwartz is checking in from North Carolina, Tar Heel country. Retro gamers have been waiting for VR longer than anyone. Yeah, I mean, although honestly, I thought VR just kind of went away, and I wasn't thinking about VR at all. Like when it came back, the only reason I kind of found out about VR coming back in the mix, Lethal Weasel is in Kentucky, within range of Steve. We got Terry Blanchard reporting from London, England, and Patrice VR Canada is in the building. East Coast or West Coast Canada? Very different flavors, right? I've been to Vancouver, British Columbia, one of the most beautiful cities probably on planet Earth. I mean, a really cool city is Vancouver, British Columbia. Much love. I'd like to live in Vancouver, British Columbia, but I think it's probably crazy expensive. Oh, Patrice is in Quebec. We've got IPCSK checking in from Bristol, UK. Okay, this is not necessarily like a roll call where we need everybody's location, but we did get in. Okay, here's Dave D checking in from Ohio. The Buckeyes are in the building. Buckeyes versus Tar Heels. Okay, so yeah, Pixel Ripped 1989. I definitely need to get back and start playing a little bit more of that. There's no question about that. Let's see. I know we have some other little minor news stories here. Well, you know, why don't I throw on one of these Hellblade Senua Sacrifice trailers. This is a PlayStation 4 trailer. Let's check this out for a sec.
You searched for control, a way to pull through. When you were in love, you left him in tears to smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came, through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams?
Looks pretty freaking cool. Like, I completely missed the mark on this game because I don't even bother with flat games. I totally ignore them. Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to play this trailer, Fluke is reporting in that PD, our own Paradise Decay, is incredibly impressed with this game. He got an early version of this the VR version of this game, which is also coming out incredibly soon. This is Tuesday, right? I guess this is same day as Pixel Ripped. You will be able to play this in VR on Tuesday, and rave reviews from Paradise Decay. And he's on a 1060. Well, I thought he mentioned that he was on a 1060. And the question is, or was he playing the VR version? Because the regular flat version is already out. I'm assuming he was playing, like somehow he got some early code for the VR version. Paradise Decay, end of August. End of August on what? Isn't this July 31st? Oh, August 8th. Wait. Or is that's like when it came out the last time? Okay, 1060, low settings, high textures, ran just fine. That's interesting because they were saying like they recommended you have like a 1080 to play this game or something. Yeah, okay, end of July. I got mixed up when I saw that trailer's date. That's a really old date. My 1080 Ti version works silky. Yeah, you're one of the lucky bastards out there, Terry. I mean, Steve and Gary, they both have 1080 Ti's as well. It would be nice to have the lead spec graphics card, because then you know, and if you got a pretty good CPU and all that, then you can't blame anything. So you know that you're getting the best of whoever is providing it. You're getting the best of that. So Paradise checking in. So he has played the VR version, and you're really saying that it's worth the $30 for somebody coming at it brand new. For those of us that don't have the flat version, we got to buy this. I believe it's $30, right? I'm on a 1080 Ti too, but I still always worry because Seeking Dawn on my 1080 Ti couldn't run that game at 90 at low settings on the Pro. See, Hybrid Energy has a Pro as well. Those of you that have Pros, do you really see like a little bit of that resolution bump, or did you see it for a honeymoon period and then it's all gone? That's curious. I would be curious to try a Vive Pro just temporarily. Paradise Decay is saying he has never played it before and it was incredible. Wow, that's pretty good. I'm assuming that Paradise, you're probably a fan of like Chronos and Edge of Nowhere. Like, you're probably one of these VR players that you can play a third-person kind of game and still really enjoy it. Because there's some people out there that they just don't want third-person, period. I've seen that happen a number of times. I got another trailer for this. Let me throw on the other trailer. This is like for Xbox One X, but, it'll give us a good idea of the game. It's pretty similar at the start here. Maybe it's the same.
You hear them too, right?
They're watching. Can you see them? They're going to do that to you.
We picture fear, and we think of a shadow in the woods, creature in the night.
What's happening? Help me.
If only it were that simple.
Baby, you're already dead.
Who are you? She once tried to make them go away. Mother,
Do you hear them?
pretend they weren't real.
Who's that?
But what good is that
Do you see their faces?
when we are always here?
This is what happens when you listen to the voices of the underworld. They crawl into your soul and rot you from the inside.
See, one of the nice things about a game like this, coming to VR, even though it was not designed with VR in mind, is you are getting production value. Like, you are getting legit production value, because Ninja Theory, you want to talk about production value, you want to talk about cinematics, like, these guys have pushed about as hard as you can push when it comes for facial animation and that type of stuff. And so I'm assuming, Paradise, do you get to see these trailers? I mean, these cinemas when you're in VR. Do you get to see these cinemas? Do you get to see her expressions like that? Because that would be super powerful, I'd have to imagine. Let me see what Paradise is saying about this. So Paradise is saying yes, and Moss, Hellblade, okay, he's also played Moss, so a lot of third-person VR games. Hellblade is all about the character, and the third-person view makes you appreciate and feel for the character more, I think. See, yeah, I mean, you're seeing the facial animations and just her body animations. If you were in first person, you wouldn't see any of that, so you kind of have to have third person there, right, to really take advantage of that. They did spend 2 years on the VR version, and they have videos on their website showing the making in VR. Yeah, so even though technically the game was probably not really designed with VR in mind, they definitely spent some time making it really high-end. Third person is underrated in VR, mainly because first-person VR is mind-blowingly good. Yeah, I mean, you know, VR, like, if you're going to describe, like, if you want to put somebody in a VR experience for the first time, you want them placed completely in a world, with a world surrounding them, and you'd like them to have their hands and be able to do something with their hands, and, you know, that's what you really want. But yeah, third person, like, people that just throw the baby out with the bathwater, that is just ridiculous. So this is coming in a matter of days. This is coming in a matter of days, along with Pixel Ripped 1989. You gotta feel bad a little bit for Pixel Ripped 1989, because some people, I mean, let's face it, if you were a regular everyday gamer, you know, Pixel Ripped is $20, this is $30. Now, Pixel Ripped, you are surrounded. It is totally VR, but this has just crazy production values. They're coming out on the same day. Hybrid Energy says he's getting both, and you're probably smart to get both based on what I've seen. It's kind of like Christmas in July, because I'm playing a little bit of Seeking Dawn as well, and, you know, because I just kind of scratched the surface of Seeking Dawn. And Seeking Dawn is not bad at all. And then you got stuff like The Persistence, you know, that hit PSVR, which is very solid. Now, Fluke made a comment in the chat yesterday about The Persistence. I wish I had that comment in front of me right now, because it was an interesting comment where he basically said that he played The Persistence and that it doesn't really step up compared to... that it doesn't really step up compared to like Oculus and Vive type games that he's played, which I thought was interesting, you know. And yeah, The Persistence is still, I like it. I still very much like The Persistence. Paradise is saying, I play Pixel Rip today as well, and it's also really, really good. Yeah, but Paradise, you know, my question for you, and you probably have seen me already mention this, is... do you think it's almost too retro for some people? Because I do wonder if it, in the beginning, if it's almost too retro. Hybrid Energy says, Invisible Hours, I wouldn't call third person at all. Well, Invisible Hours is just a freaking VR movie. Like, it is not a game. Like, we are off the money when we talk about Invisible Hours being a game. That is a VR movie. They should have advertised it as a VR movie. That's the first VR movie. It just happens to be a cartoon. IPCSK. There is a demo of Tomb Raider Dagger of Zion, which some guy is making in Unreal Engine 4, and seeing Lara life-size standing right next to me is awesome. All the detail of her clothes, so beautiful. That's cool. That's interesting. Night Shame is checking in. Hello there. What is up, Night Shame? Yeah, so maybe a few different people checking in today because of this, because of the much later start time here. hopefully I'll be starting at 2 p.m. Pacific for these next couple of days. I should be able to start at 2 p.m. Pacific. So, oh yeah, okay, here's Fluke. He says, yeah, I basically said I understand why PSVR players like the Persistence a lot, but we've been spoiled with better sci-fi games from Alien Isolation to Lone Echo. Okay, I've never played Alien Isolation. Lone Echo is a lot more AAA, I think, than the Persistence. The Persistence does have the backing of Sony, and Firesprite is a very talented developer. They're basically old Psygnosis guys. You know, remember yesterday I was talking about Shadow of the Beast. I was talking about Runes VR. That trailer really gave me a Shadow of the Beast vibe. That was by Psygnosis. And Firesprite is made up of those old guys, like a lot of those old guys in Firesprite. That's cool. How often do I stream? Night Shame, this is a daily deal. Well, at least I'm trying to make it daily. Now, it's supposed to be 10 a.m. Pacific, but there are times when I have something I got to do. Like, for example, today we're streaming later. Tomorrow it's going to be 2 p.m. Pacific. Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And then we're going to go back to 10 a.m. and then we'll have to check it from there. Paradise Decay says, I'm a retro kid, so it was all nostalgia. Younger VR gamers will not get the vibe unless they're into retro games in the 80s. Yeah, and especially like Game Boy. Like if you never ever had a Game Boy, it's quite retro. Some people are going to have to... It's going to be interesting to see when that game goes wide to a wide audience. I'm interested to see if, like, when I'm on Reddit and I'm looking at the comments, if somebody's like, they spent way too long with this Game Boy game. It should have only been like 2 minutes. I'm playing this Game Boy game for like 20 minutes just to get to the next level. If somebody says that, that's going to be interesting, because I could understand how somebody can complain about that. So anyway, why don't we go ahead and move on to another news story, because I know we got some other stuff here. Oh, there was this interesting Windows mixed reality thing. I wonder if you guys saw this. I'll go ahead and throw this trailer on. I honestly don't know much about this. I was going to try to look at the stories, try to look at this story before commenting on it. But this is this flashlight thing that they have in for Windows mixed reality headsets. This is something that's going to be added in one of the newer builds. And what it does is you can activate this thing where you can see, basically you can take over your external cameras and look around your room. And it's this like weird black and white, and you could move it all around your room and see like where your cat is, where your dog is. You can see the laptop right there. You can see where your cords are. Kind of an interesting little thing that they did. Yeah, it's called Flashlight. Microsoft, the Flashlight app or something like that. You know, this reminds me, I should have grabbed one of those refurbished Acers for $135 and just hoped that everything worked good so I could screw around with some stuff like this. You know, it probably would make sense just to get a little bit of a first-hand touch on some interesting things like this. It is available with the Windows Insider right now. Yeah, you would have to be like signed up for the Windows Insider builds to be able to do this right now. So I wouldn't be able to do it right away if I had Windows. You know, the problem with me actually buying a Windows mixed reality headset, and I think I mentioned this already, is I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Windows mixed reality requires that your CPU cannot be like super old like my CPU is. I have an Intel i5 2500K from spring 2011, and I think if I actually got a Windows mixed reality headset and tried to hook it up to this PC, it wouldn't work. It actually requires a CPU. I believe that like some instructions that go with the CPU that started like 2013 and later or something like that. So I'm boned. I'd have to, maybe my wife's laptop, I could run it in like the really low, you know, just look around the room low mode, like with just the integrated graphics that my wife's laptop has, possibly, I don't know. But yeah, let's get to another news story here. Okay, why don't I throw on a new trailer for Ace Combat, which is going to be coming to PSVR at some point. When are we ever going to find out the date for this game? We have no idea what the deal is with the date for Ace Combat 7.
How penal is this penal unit, you ask? This place is a shithole.
Commencing deception and interception. Spare squadron, lead the way. Trigger your call sign as Spare 15. Consider it your prisoner number for the air.
Today they tossed someone new into the mix. Wonder what he did to get sent here.
Spare squadron, 2 groups of bandits, bearing 300 from the reference point. You're cleared to engage. Show no mercy. Trigger's taking the beast head on.
You have 3 sin lines, right, Trigger? 4 scratches, the more heinous the crime.
Spare 15, work off your crimes. Attention. Remember, you're not bona fide.
You know what's crazy, man, about Ace Combat 7? Like, there has been no date for this game, ever. And we still have no date. It seems like we've known about Ace Combat 7 for how many years now? This game has had an incredibly lengthy development process. But I'll tell you what, imagine seeing the cockpit of some of those planes with all those freaking levers all over the place in VR, and if it was relatively clear. You know, this is a PSVR game as far as we know for now. I don't know if there's going to be, well, honestly, we really don't know. Haven't heard much, but we know for PSVR because Sony has used it in some of their sizzle reels. So it's probably going to have a temporary 90-day kind of exclusivity, if nothing else. But the one part of this video where they show the inside of the cockpit and there's all these different little levers and buttons and indicators and everything, that would look pretty freaking sweet in VR. I'm trying to see the part where they show that because that part was cool. Like right there, you're looking at the cockpit. It's coming up right here. Right there, you can see the, like, seeing the sun come through your, look at that part right there. Like, that's the one part where I would grab a screenshot of it because that's really what it's going to look like in VR. But yeah, the other thing too, though, Ace Combat 7, this is going to be like a $59.99 game. These Japanese publishers, they don't give a damn. They come from the world of $59.99. Even on PC, it's going to be $59.99. So if you want to, but the cool thing about a game like this is I will be able to grab this from Redbox and like rent it. And that's the advantage of physical media still existing. Let's see what people are saying in chat. Okay, Paradise Decay. Ace Combat looks good. Is this another PSVR exclusive? My initial guess would be probably for at least 90 days, unfortunately. Dave D says, I hope not, but, you know, it was used in Sony's, like, E3 trailer, like their sizzle reel trailers, probably a 90-day exclusive on that. Fluke Rogi says, yeah, there's a game coming out on PC that is basically Ace Combat in all but name. Name escapes me at the moment. But, yeah, Namco Bandai, especially the Namco part of it that developed this, they know their shit. Is the average person, average PC developer, I don't know, maybe. Roy Schwartz says, I want to play this so bad. Some people are like super, super into all the Ace Combats. I normally don't mess with them, but VR would be the thing that would draw me into messing with Ace Combat. Oh, Project Wingman is the game that Fluke Rogi is talking about. Project Wingman. The current demo doesn't have VR support. Terry Blanchard says, would love to play the multiplayer online version of Ace Combat. Yeah, the one thing that's always concerned me, though, whenever I've played like this type of a game where you kind of get into a dogfighting game, is you're constantly just like turning and then trying to get a lock on and then turning and then trying to get a lock on. It's kind of the same thing with like Eve Valkyrie as well, but I will love to rent this for a couple of days. I wonder if there will be a VR mode, a third-person VR mode, like where you could have your the plane just floating in front of you like that. There could be a third-person VR mode. It's not out of the question. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Arcas Path. So let's go ahead and check out this trailer. I'm going to go ahead and play the sound. This is a brand new trailer that recently came out. Now, the thing about Arcas Path, just so you guys know, Rebellion, which is the developer of Battlezone, they're publishing this game, but it's a different company. It's not Rebellion that's actually making it, but they are publishing it. And this is supposed to be a VR game that's coming to like PSVR. It's also coming to the Rift. I'm guessing Steam VR as well. It's also coming to Oculus Go and Gear VR. So let's check it out.
Arcas Path is a sort of VR-only physics platforming game where you control a sphere through a series of maze-like levels. It's about this young girl who lives on a scrap heap. She's got a fairly desperate sort of life of scavenging for old broken bits of technology. And one day she finds this mask. It comes to life as she picks it up and she decides to put it on, and it transports her to this fairy tale, magical, simulated world.
Way back when I was a programmer, actually, and then I worked at Sony PlayStation for a long time.
So Dream Reality Interactive is a developer, Dream Reality Interactive, and they are being published by Rebellion, which anybody out there ever have an Atari Jaguar? Because they made Aliens vs. Predator on Atari Jaguar like way back in 1994, I think that was. You want to talk about going back in the days. And they were, of course, the Aliens vs. Predator like on PC and all that. You know, they always did the Aliens vs. Predator. Then they did Battlezone for PlayStation VR, was an exclusive for a long time, but it came to Steam, it came to Oculus. They're publishing this. Dream Reality Interactive is a developer. This appears to be kind of like a Marble Madness kind of game, you know, so it's like a puzzle. We have a lot of great puzzle games in VR. This was designed very exclusively for VR, so it might be kind of cool. I mean, it's not in my top 10 most wanted, but let's see what anybody's saying in chat. So we're still talking a little bit about Ace Combat 7. Roy Schwartz was saying, LOL, even Ultra Wings is a blast with the HOTAS. Yeah, you know, Ultra Wings is a really underrated game. You want to talk about underrated VR games. Paradise Decay says, first time I tried flying games in VR, I had that fear of height feeling. Nowadays, I just enjoy the feeling and looking for more intense experiences with flying in VR. You know, I've always had fear of heights in real life, but it's weird how in VR sometimes it affects me, in VR sometimes it doesn't affect me. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. This is a really long trailer. I guess this is like an in-depth thing where they're talking to the developers. I thought it was just a trailer. Crunchy says, I remember the hype for that Aliens Jaguar game. Yeah, because Aliens vs. Predator on the Atari Jaguar, that was the game that was like supposed to single-handedly save the Atari Jaguar. And you know, like everybody that was a Atari Jaguar owner, you pretty much like all your hopes and dreams were for Alien vs. Predator. It had to be good whether it was good or not. And Alien vs. Predator actually does not hold up very well at all, the Jaguar version. But back then, it was super cool. I thought it was pretty awesome back then. Terry Blanchard says VR enables you to conquer your fears. Well, I don't know. If I try to play Brookhaven Experiment and I'm in the sewers with those bugs, you want to talk about trying to conquer your fears. The noises that those bugs make, I can tell you guys right now, VR, the visuals are going to get better and better and better. And when they start making spiders and bug-like creatures with 3D sound, that is so incredible. I'm going to have to quit out of that stuff. I literally am going to and I think a lot of people will probably too. So they're going to probably have to have all these different levels of VR games. It's going to be weird. The future is going to be weird. Yeah, so Paradise Decay says, Anthony, so what's your favorite VR genre? Well, my favorite, like the VR games that I want is I like being in an alien world, exploring a brand new alien world, being able to go anywhere, but I kind of like more fast action and stuff. I don't really want to spend hours trying to learn how to play a game. I kind of want to just be dropped. Like for me, what's the game? Primordian. Primordian is an example of kind of what I'm looking for. It doesn't really fit what I'm really looking for, but like the alien world, like I want to be in an alien world like that, but I want to be able to just walk off in any direction, and I just want to get lost in that world. That's kind of like my VR genre. That's what I want. And honestly, I don't know that I could point to anything that, like Lone Echo at times was just marvelous because it was like a sci-fi movie where you were playing the lead actor. Like that's the dream. That's my dream. But anyway, yeah, so Arcas Path, that will be coming, I believe, later this year. Or maybe it's 2019. I don't know. I'd have to go check the date on that, but I'm not going to worry about that. Let's see. Did I have any other like trailers or anything else I wanted to get into? Oh, you know what? Let's take a look at the Sega Classics. I forgot to get a video of this up yesterday. So let's have this running in the background real quick. So I don't know if anybody out there with a PlayStation VR, has anybody tried this out firsthand, but they did add the VR mode. This is actually video from somebody's PSVR, like the actual output video of it. And so you have this kid's room circa like 1992 or something like that. You got the TV. You know, the one thing that we can do in VR, and it looks real, is old TVs. We really can make old TVs look real. Although this is a really small little TV that they had here. But look, it's got the Sonic, the little Sonic throw rug. You got the Genesis modeled very well. The game library modeled quite well as well. You got the Altered Beast poster. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I have a good buddy that does retro, like he's super into retro games, never came to VR with me. Me and him were both like hardcore into retro, and I got a Vive and then lost my mind with VR, left the retro world. He never did. He would probably think something like this is pretty cool. Like, I bet you if he tried this, he'd be like, you know what, in 10 years, they're going to be able to do some really cool stuff with this. But yeah, you know, the Genesis looks pretty freaking accurate there. Sonic, you know, even from every angle, like the resolution. See, the thing is, these old Sega Genesis games, I believe the resolution is like 320 by 220 or something like that. So they can run an absolutely perfect emulator and run it on a simulated TV screen, and it would look flawless. It would look flawless compared to in VR, even with the lower resolution. This is one thing that we can get away with doing. We can actually get away with this. Let's see what people are saying in chat. I'll throw a little volume on this. Okay, let's see. Okay, Chris Gould says, just do not see the point of the Sega thing if the games themselves are flat. Yeah, well, basically what it is, Chris, imagine you could go back in time to 1992 into some random bedroom that existed in 1992 and play Sonic. That's basically what this is. So it is kind of a VR novelty, and it is one of these things that somebody would probably do this for like an hour or so, and they would never ever do it again. That's why it's really difficult for me to pay like $30 or whatever it is to get this and to try this VR mode, because I know I would try this a couple of times, because I don't want to sit there with a headset on and pretend to see a TV and play a game. Like, there would have to be no eye strain whatsoever, no weight. We need to get to the point where VR has like no eye strain, no weight, where you could just have it on and it's not a big deal. Then maybe I'd think about spending time playing a retro game with this thing on my head. It's cool though. I mean, look at that. You get close to Streets of Rage. You're looking at the text scrolling on the screen. That looks pixel perfect. It's amazing how pixel perfect we can get that. We really can. Like, imagine 10 years from now, though, recreating like a 1989 house, or, you know, like recreating some classic shit. Like, imagine the Cosby Show, like going to that house, walking all around that house. We're going to be able to visit history. That's basically what we're talking about here. But yeah, it's old school. If you're not into old school, you're not. So Chris Gould, it's going to be curious. Do you have any interest in Pixel Ripped 1989? Because if you don't see the point of this Sega thing, you might not like Pixel Ripped 1989, because you spend a lot of Pixel Ripped 1989 playing a two-dimensional game while you're in a VR world, which is basically what this is. But of course, there's a lot more going on than just being in a bedroom like this. But it is similar in certain ways. Paradise Decay says the console even has fingerprints on it. Oh wow, I didn't notice that. That's super cool. Fluke Rogue Crunchy says it makes more sense in Oculus Home or something like that, where you can bring friends into your home and play some classic games together. Well, yeah, you know, when it comes to arcades, like, I can tell you guys one thing. So here's the deal. You know how we have new retro arcade neon, right, is on the Vive, and I believe it's on Oculus as well. There's new retro arcade neon. And you get this program, and then you can put the ROMs in, and you're like in an old retro arcade from the 80s. The carpet is exactly like a retro arcade would have. The lighting is like that fluorescent lighting where your shirt will, you know, if you have a white shirt, it'll have a certain color to it. And it has all of that, right? But the problem is the controls. But somebody can make like a plywood background that just has all the arcade controls there, but there's no arcade machines. And if they were set in the right spot, somebody could do this. Somebody could recreate an arcade from the 80s with props, but actually have everything wired up, have the buttons wired up. And if you have a wireless VR headset, it would just be a matter of, okay, how many, I guess you would have to make the arcade cabinets clear plexiglass so the tracking could go right through. That would be an interesting experiment. Clear arcade machines, just, you know, the facade of them with buttons, people walking around an arcade feeling like they're legitimately really in an arcade. We are going to be able to visit the past with VR. That's going to be a cool thing about VR. We're going to be able to visit the past. And an arcade is easily one of the places people will visit. Okay, let's see here. Crunchy's talking about the books on the shelf in the video. I didn't see it. Paradise Decay says, there is a section in Pixel Rip that feels like you are wearing an AR headset. It's cleverly done. Dude, Paradise, you just broke embargo, man. Chris Gould, Warcade got it right for the retro thing. Yeah, so Chris Gould doesn't sound like he's all that into retro. Chris, the question is, any interest in Pixel Rip 1989, or are you planning on skipping that? Did you mention the Steam VR update? Tom Lloyd, no, I didn't. But because, Tom, what we usually do is we'll usually at a certain point, I'll go to the various subreddits and try to check on the news. And actually, we could go ahead and do that. Why don't I bounce over to one of the subreddits and check on the news? We can check the Vive subreddit. Now, a lot of people have asked, could I go ahead and get this onto the screen where I'm browsing the Vive subreddit? And I could, but it's hard to explain. What I really need is another monitor, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to get that going soon, okay? But the #1 story on the Vive subreddit, I'll go ahead and change the trailer because I actually have the trailer for the #1 story that is running right now on the Vive subreddit. But I have to fix the window size now. So the #1 story is Moss. There is an update for Moss, and I can't get this in my window right. There is an update for Moss which officially adds support to the Windows mixed reality headsets. So this is the biggest news story right now on the Vive subreddit, Moss 1.03 update. Hey all. We've just released an update for Moss, which includes official support for Windows mixed reality headsets. Also, we've been hearing the feedback surrounding Vive controller and input issues. We've added a few layout options, which we found go a long way in mitigating those issues. We really appreciate all the love and feedback on here. We hope these updates make the experience of playing Moss better for all. You can get more details on the patch here. And it goes to the Steam community page for Moss. And, you know, that's one of the good things. I'll tell you what, Polyarc, you want to talk about kind of a success story in VR. Polyarc puts Moss on PlayStation VR as an exclusive, but it wasn't exclusive for very long. But it did incredibly well on PSVR. Everybody was super into Moss. It even has a physical version now. It did so well that they decided to bring out a physical version of the game. It's an outstanding game. It came to Steam VR. It came to the Oculus Store. And there's always that worry that will the Steam VR, will the Vive players and the Rift players, will they take a third-person action platformer like this seriously? Because some people don't take Lucky's Tale seriously, which is a damn shame. But luckily, people really rallied around Moss, and I think this is sold well on Oculus. I think it's sold well on Steam for the Vive, and now it's going to be available for all the mixed reality, you know, native support for the mixed reality headsets as well. So if you picked up one of those refurbished Acers in that deal that was going on recently, you know, you'll be able to play Moss. That's a great thing. So really love that. Let's go back over to chat. Paradise Decay says, I don't have an embargo. Really? Okay, you're better than me, because Chris Gould, hey, talk about Retro and Attack or Chaos Battle of the Wizards. Tom Lloyd says, for Windows Preview Edition users, they'll have a new flashlight tool. This lets them see the real world using Windows MD headsets and Vive. Yeah, we had that video on there a little bit earlier in the stream, the flashlight mode that has been added, and that does look cool. Lethal Weasel says he's getting Moss from Gamefly. Yeah, so Lethal Weasel is one of the few people on planet Earth still using physical games. But hey, that's what I was doing too as well. I love because physical games, the days are numbered. You know, I think the days are numbered for physical games. I don't know how long they're going to continue to last. And so I kind of say cherish these physical games. Changing discs suck, but it's a beautiful thing that you could rent Moss, you could rent Eve Valkyrie, you could rent Gran Turismo Sport. You'll be able to rent Ace Combat 7. That is a beautiful thing. So Lethal Weasel is enjoying the last remnants of physical media. Paradise Decay says, Anthony, talking about the past, have you checked out Nefertari Journey to Eternity. Yes, I have checked that out, and I think it might have been on the last episode of VR Roundtable that is currently available right now, because we're taking a break on VR Roundtable, but we are coming back. I believe August 5th we'll be recording an episode that'll arrive on August 6th. But we did talk about Nefertari. Me and Gary both tried it, and I liked it. I don't know if I have a trailer for it though right now, but I liked Nefertari, although, you know, really you're kind of just looking around a tomb. You know, it's an educational thing. It's a historical educational thing. I can tell you this, if I was a student in class and we were studying ancient Egypt and they said, okay, now class, everybody put on your Oculus Go and we're going to check out Nefertiti's tomb, that would be a hell of a lot more interesting than anything else they could possibly do. And I really believe that VR and education is going to be an incredible combination. I've said that with like Google Earth, you know, just Google Earth VR, like learning geography and learning where things are, like could be enhanced exponentially. It's not even a question. So yeah, I like Nefertari. I wish there was more of that. And I believe in virtual tourism, huge believer in virtual tourism long term. Okay. Terry Blanchard says Ant Attack was so cool. Okay, is that thing where you're like on a desk and stuff's running around like on a desk? Anyways. Chris Gold, one idea I have regarding retro games, rather than having endless zombie wave shooters, devs should look for some fresh ideas from classic games. They really should. And whatever happened... Do you guys remember Zortex 26XX from the lab? I think Zortex, speaking of underrated VR games, one of the most underrated VR things that currently exists is Zortex 26XX. And I always thought that Zortex 26XX was going to get a swarm of clones that would clone that game, and we would have endless clones of Zortex 26XX that would take it way beyond where it did, and we haven't really seen that. And oh my God, that's so depressing. Lethal Weasel VR says, Gamefly, a good deal if you get gift certificates. $12 a month for 2 games. You basically could have 2 games out at a time. You play them for a while. You ship them back. The real deal, though, when it comes to Gamefly, it really matters where the distribution center is located and where you're located, because if you ship your games out and like a couple days later you get 2 games back, it's awesome. But if you ship it out and you're waiting for like 10 days for them to ship something back, not so awesome. That was the one downside with Gamefly. And anytime there was a big game that everybody wanted to get, you had almost no chance of getting it unless you left a spot in your queue empty for like half of the month. So you kind of have to, you know, it gets into a whole value proposition as well when it comes to Gamefly. Tom Lloyd says, I use the Samsung Odyssey headset, which recently was on sale for $399.99. I gotta say, if that Samsung ever dropped to $299.99, $300, incredibly tempting. I would probably want to grab that as fast as humanly possible. Chris Gould says, Minter's Polybius on PSVR is insane. Retro in VR done right. Yeah, Polybius. You do not want to take psychedelics and play Polybius. You do not need the psychedelics. It is psychedelic enough. Polybius is super cool in VR, especially with headphones, and you get really dialed in. Polybius actually, that would be good on like the Oculus Go, and I would think they could run that perfectly on the Oculus Go. I think there's enough power in the Oculus Go to run Polybius. Jeff Minner, what is up? Llamasoft, get that on the go because that makes sense. Okay, let me see. My stomach is starting to growl. I have not had lunch and I'm hella hungry, but I'm going to try to see if we can check out a couple of these finals. Oh, you know what I got to get into? I have not talked about my impressions of Marvel Powers United VR. I mean, this is only the biggest game that came out yesterday. Huge game, 56 gigs. I gotta tell the truth and say that I have not played a ton of this. I've had some family that has been staying with me, and I just haven't had a lot of time for VR, period. I do these live streams, but I've been limited in my game time with Marvel Powers United VR. Although I did play this, I probably have put in maybe, excuse me, maybe about an hour and 20 minutes total game time playing it like 3 different times. Marvel Powers United VR. And it's too early for me to really make a definitive statement on this game. I'll say that in some ways it's actually impressed me. Like I thought it was going to be even worse than kind of what it's turned out to be. There's certain scenarios about this game that are pretty freaking incredible. Like you look around at the stage that is set. Like I was playing as the Hulk, and in one of the times that I was playing, and when you have those Hulk arms and you have those Hulk hands, and you know you're turning your arm and you see Hulk's hand, and you know you're looking at his fingernails and everything, there's something about that is freaking super cool. And then the other thing is like the other heroes that you're battling with, that you know that are battling alongside you, they're like super tiny compared to you, you know, because you're the big Hulk. So you get this sense of scale. And you grab these bad guys and you grab them with your grab button and you're holding them up in the air and they're animating and moving around, and you can like smack them and you know, throw them up against the wall or whatever. And I was enjoying myself. I was literally enjoying myself yesterday playing this at times. But man, the $40 price tag, and then it's pretty obvious to me that the monotony of playing this game is really going to wear on people. And I think that's where this game goes bad, is that it just becomes monotonous. But as far as Marvel related fan service, there is some good stuff, especially with the Hulk. If it wasn't for I think the Hulk kind of makes this game. Like if they didn't have the Hulk, for a little while I was playing as Thor, and it just didn't, like, seeing Thor's arms and you know, looking down and seeing Thor's legs, it didn't do that much for me. But being in the Hulk, that was awesome. For a very brief minute, I played as Spider-Man, and I know everybody is super disappointed because Spider-Man cannot like swing from buildings and all of that. But I was Spider-Man, and I was looking at my arms and hands as Spider-Man, and it looked about as colorful and as crystal clear as I've ever seen it. And for somebody that has always been a fan of Spider-Man, and you know, I'm looking down at Spider-Man's legs and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my God, when they've got full body tracking that is millimeter accurate, and they can put you in a Spider-Man outfit, it is gonna, like, this is why I know VR is unstoppable, people. VR is absolutely unstoppable. It is not even close. All you have to know that VR is going to kill everything and eliminate all other entertainment. All you could know in 10 seconds. Look at Spider-Man's arm while you're playing this game. Look at how crystal clear that is. And just imagine, within 10 years' time, we will have millimeter accuracy in tracking our human skeletal frames wrapped with Spider-Man, with an FOV where we can see everything. We can look down at our chest. Everything is animated. Fingers, individual fingers moving in Spider-Man's outfit. It is going to be redonkulous, and that future is coming. And that's why these stories that came out recently that VR is dying is such a joke. It's such a joke, especially after experiencing that. Now, I've said a lot of good things about Marvel Powers United VR, but again, I was playing as, one of the really bad things about it is the performance was craptacular. Like, I'm not getting good performance at all. Now, I do have the 970. I got this old i5 2500K, so technically I'm very underpowered PC, but every time I turned on Marvel Powers United, it was like skipping, this animation problems. Like, there's this little like intro sequence that you can play either as Captain America or Black Widow, every time I went into that intro sequence and they would have these cinemas with like Hulk saving my life, spoiler, little stuff like that would happen that would have been super cool. Constant stuttering, constant problems. Excuse me, just major performance issues. I'm wondering, like Steve and Gary, you know, they got 1080 Ti's. Like, dude, look at Spider-Man. Look at those arms. Look at those hands. Shooting webs out. That shit was beautiful. Drop dead gorgeous. That was in Technicolor. Just looking at those arms, wow. that proves to me VR is not going anywhere, people. VR is not going anywhere. Okay, let's see what chat is saying. Lethal Weasel, Polybius is awesome. Yeah, everybody knows Polybius is awesome. Fluke Rogi says Marvel Powers United. Okay, all the reviews I see of this Marvel game have been terrible. You still need to play Standout VR. Yeah, Tom, eventually I probably will. Chris Gould, I wonder if Stan Lee is getting any cash from this. The guy seems to be in... Dude, the guy's like 100 years old. Tom Lloyd, they lost me with Wolverine's claws shooting like a gun in a repetitious X move. Wolverine's claws never shoot in the comments. Yeah, I'm sure some of the characters probably just got totally ruined. Paradise Decay is saying at Tom Lloyd, yet Destructoid projections all rate the game. Terry Blanchard does look an awesome underrated game with no updates yet. So anyway, kill, annihilate, kill, destroy. VR for the win. Charles Van Nolan says, I think your GPU should be okay, and then you're mostly CPU bottlenecked on VR. Anthony, I have a competition for you to win a 1080 Ti. 1080 cards are dropping to $399 either now or very soon. See, that's the thing. I would go ahead and get one of these 1080s for $399 because that would improve a lot of my situation. But I really need to get the new CPU and the new, so you kind of have to go the whole way. I need to build a new tower from scratch that would probably cost me about $1,500, and it's just the reality. My stomach is really starting to make noises because I'm starving. But yeah, so Marvel Powers United VR, I saw some good things with this game. I've seen some very bad things with this game. The $40 price is just bad, period. There's no good way. I don't know that this... I understand why it's $40, because this is Marvel. Marvel's probably getting $20 of that $40 just for the license. That's how strong... Like, Marvel is such a key license to have right here, right now, letting people step into the shoes of Thor and Wolverine and all these great characters, Doctor Strange... all these characters that everybody loves. I'm not really the comic book guy. Like, I'm not really into these movies and all of that. I like Spider-Man back in the day. That's why it was such a treat to look at my arms. Because the, the inverse kinematics, pretty damn good. When you are the Hulk or when you're Spider-Man and you're looking at your arms, pretty good. And Spider-Man is pretty skinny. It's kind of relatively accurate, because the Spider-Man was a more skinnier guy. So, let's see what people are saying here at the end. People still talking about 1080s. Nobody talking about Marvel. Who got Marvel, and what was your thoughts? I know Paradise, you probably had a final take on... Oh, he's saying you do get a kick out of being the characters. That's Paradise Decay. Yeah, a couple of them anyways. I mean, I got a kick out of the Hulk and Spider-Man. Captain America was very lame. Did not get a kick out of Captain America. I think I played as Black Widow for a second. Didn't really get... Haven't tried like Wolverine. I mean, look, the graphics are incredibly clear. Look at this trailer. That's where all that memory is. That's where that 56 gigs is. So I'm going to continue to play this. It's definitely not going to get like a super high score for me because it's just not my type of thing, but... I don't know. I'm kind of actually thinking that it's better than I thought it was. Like, I was maybe thinking it was going to be really, really bad, and it's actually better than I thought it was. But I can see how incredibly monotonous the gameplay is going to get. Yeah, Oasis, virtual reality Oasis, Mike, he didn't really have the greatest things to say about Marvel Powers United either. And you know, the reviews were pretty bad. Was it smooth in game? Well, sometimes it would get a little bit hitchy in game, and then other times it would kind of work for a while and be nice and clean. And you know, I liked the teleport. I liked when you teleport, it would like show this blue laser and then show where exactly your body is going to be when you teleport. And so I kind of liked the teleport. I liked grabbing the bad guys as the Hulk, especially as the Hulk. I would grab two bad guys and smash them together, or, you know, throw them off into the distance or whatever. Being the Hulk was good. So I had some fun with it. I'll definitely have to play it a lot more too. Chris Gould says, you get a 1080 now and in 6 months it's behind the curve again. Yeah, that's the PC master race. That is the reality of the PC master race. That is the reality. Wish we could make donations. You know what? I will probably eventually do a, what do you call it? A Patreon. I'll probably do a Patreon at some point. But I'm not in any rush to do that right now, but yeah, I'll probably do a Patreon. And if I did do a Patreon, I can tell you, oh my God, the first thing that any Patreon money would go to would be towards building a new tower, a new PC tower, new motherboard, new CPU, new memory, and of course a new GPU, which is obviously the most critical thing. But yeah, I do need a new tower, absolutely no question. It's not even a question. Do you think it would work on Revive? I've heard it's kind of mixed. Like, there's people talking about it on Revive. You might want to jump into some of those threads. Let me take a last little quick scan of news, because I actually went to the Vive subreddit to look up news and then got completely distracted. So we heard about the Moss update. Yeah, we heard about that. HTC wireless adapter release and pre-order up on B&H Photo. Okay, this is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry, the page may have moved or is no longer available. Tease, but maybe a date leaked or something. Let me go ahead and check on this. 28 comments. Man. Mac Connection says it's out of stock for $301. $300 is apparently the price for the official wireless. Expected availability September 3rd. September 3rd and $300. That is breaking news. HTC Vive wireless adapter. Oh my goodness. Breaking news. We'll definitely talk about that on tomorrow's episode a little bit. That is absolutely, definitely breaking news right there. Let me, my stomach is growling. It's saying, dude, you got to eat lunch. I should have ate lunch earlier. Let me go to Oculus. Yeah, you guys are going to hear my stomach on this show. It's going to have its own mic. You know, they're talking about Hellblade. Everybody raging about Hellblade. Of course, Hellblade in VR is brilliant. Some random post by some random Redditor. Probably just, you know, trying to shill his video channel, probably, right? 64 comments for that one. Apparently, the people who actually bought Marvel Powers United VR, mostly Marvel fans, love it. Yeah, you know, I mean, I've found some good things about it. I don't know if I'm trying to be too... Oh, Pixel Ripped 1989 launch trailer. This is on the Oculus subreddit. It only has 2 comments. That's not good. I really hope this game will sell well, because I think it deserves to sell well. I'm slightly worried about people that just aren't into retro buying it and then hating it, but other than that, I hope it sells pretty well. Projections has a new episode where they're talking about Marvel Powers United VR. I might be able to check that out later, talk about that tomorrow as well. Assetto Corsa Competizione, we know about that launching September 12th, but no actual VR support until October 10th, but we are looking for that. Let me take a quick bounce over to the PSVR subreddit, see if there's anything new over here. Astrobot is available for pre-order on the Australian store. I believe it's $39.99 here in the USA, and October 2nd is the date for Astrobot. I am super hyped on Astrobot. There is a new trailer that features some footage, some never before seen footage of Blood and Truth by London Studio for PlayStation VR. So I'm probably going to grab that trailer and try to cut out some of that footage. We can talk about that tomorrow, because that is still one of the biggest PlayStation VR games that is coming later this year. Blood and Truth. Definitely a big one. The Persistence has replaced Resident Evil 7 as my favorite PSVR game. How about you? That is some very, very high praise there for The Persistence. I don't know I'm going to go that far. I do think it is a very good game for PSVR. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. Honestly, I truly believe that Sony has been blessed, absolutely blessed. Sony has been getting some super key games for PSVR at the absolute perfect time. Got Wipeout at the perfect time. It got Moss at the perfect time. It gets To the Top at the perfect time. It gets The Persistence at the perfect time. Killing Floor Incursion. Just a lot of good things have happened to Sony. A lot of good games have landed on that platform. I mean, the port of 2MD VR Football, fantastic. Sony has just had a lot of great fortune, as far as I'm concerned, with really key games hitting the PSVR just at the perfect time. And they're going to get another key game this Tuesday with Pixel Ripped 1989. So Sony, much love over there. I mean, you guys got to be loving that. Okay, I got to get out of here, folks. I am absolutely starving, but I will be back tomorrow, of course, with more discussion about all of this stuff. My stomach is growling. It'll be interesting to see if that picked up on the mic. But I am going to go ahead and get out of here. Once again, guys, make sure subscribe to the channel, like the videos. I've been doing all these live shows, and I haven't, the subscription numbers have not risen at all. In fact, I think I actually have lost a lot of subscriptions, but oh well. I'm not really worried about that. It's not a big deal. So anyway, I will see everybody tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific on Saturday, which I believe 10 p.m. UK time. See you guys then. Later.